But before you were the leader, you obviously were doing that, working your way up with this positivity movement. The leader at the moment was King Blood, Luis Felipe. And I want to talk about his case and how you brought the Latin kings to the crowd and spoke on how you trying to change the meaning of what being a Latin king is. And meanwhile, the leader was in jail fighting, some murder cases that he had sent out to kill people from behind the wall. And I want you to talk to me about that case. What did that mean for you in your experience as a member of the Latin King during that experience?
Well, yeah, Luis Felipe, may the Almighty have him in his hands. He's got over 38 years right now in solitary confinement. He was the only man in the United States of America sentenced to 175 years. 75 years of that done without visits, phone calls, mail, or a lawyer. He is completely buried alive. The Unabomber didn't go through that, and none. And I'm just saying the outcome of that, the behaviors that we thought were never gonna come to pass, that you got to pay a bill. Right? You got to pay the bill after whatever you do. So if I tell all you kids that are seeing that gram shit and all that, I'm getting bodies, there's a bill to pay at the end of the road. Just because they ain't there don't mean they don't see you. So with that, Luis Felipe was a Cuban immigrant. He came with the Marielitos, if people don't know. It's Scarface movie you see when they just send everybody out. And he came and he worked for himself from Miami to Chicago. And in Chicago, his mother left him when he was like 4. His father was abandoned. So in Cuba, he was raised in jail. And the jail in Cuba was different. And you come to America and you don't got no parents, you ain't got nobody, and you did most of your life in there, right? So you come in here as a pimple, full of love, ready to pop, right? And when he went over to Chicago, he found the brothers over there, and it was very violent, and he worked his way. When you run from one state to the next state, he comes to New York, and he finds himself, in oppression that led to some behaviors that are noted and found. And then when he had the case for Murders in the Kings that was saying, hey, you send, and all what you spoke about, while it was happening, I couldn't understand how a man that's in solitary confinement then, and his feet, his arms, his eyes can't touch you, but still he was getting credit for that behavior that a human being did outside the jail, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, one, how do you leave his visit and go do it if you don't agree with it? 2, or is it really we're bringing him everything he wants and then he gives me what I want most? That guy over there, he kissed my girl, or you tell him about the behavior, and if you're Louis, if I brought you all these gifts, what's the only gift you could give me? What I want. And most of us were ignorant what we wanted from him. We wanted power. And power comes with violence in the street. So I believe a lot of it was really people bringing him things that he agreed to. I'm in the shoe. I need this dude to keep coming, right? I'll agree, which is ignorant, right, of his behavior. But what I wanted to say, it wasn't only him. It was, like I told you, a slew of leaders, few within it, that found to use him was to gain power and bring fear to continue. So when I seen that happening, like I said, I found that there was a lot more guys that disagree with things than agreed. And when I got the power to have a voice with them, then I brought them the right visit. I brought them the visit with a baby in the arm of a sister and 3 sisters, no drugs, nothing to hand you. But do you know these is who dying? Do you know these dudes that coming to see you, that's all they want from you? We want to show you the family. We want you to start giving us hope through your messages. And for the first time, he wrote a manifesto speaking like that. Sometimes people write what they can't do, but they wish they could be. And he bring us a hope of light. And that was the first time I got confidence that if we could guide him and show him what love looks like for real, we could convert him to move himself away from those kind of leaders and start listening to leaders like me. And what I told Felipe, I remember, I said, dude, what you don't understand, what's sweet to the mouth is going to be sour in your stomach.
And you guys would have phone conversations or only letters?
Well, at that time, he could call.
Okay.
He could visit. He was a regular inmate.
Okay.
He wasn't at the level where they put him, So, yeah, so going through that and seeing and growing as a king in that culture. And let me make it really, most of the guys in power groups are looking for an answer to get ahead. But the economies and the things that get you ahead are the quick ones. Extortion, drug stealing, violence, right? So I said, how about if I replace murder with hope? Extortion with knowledge. And then put opportunity in front of them. Which one would they really choose, right?
Yeah.
And it was more that said, like I said, we're going to be with our wives longer. We're going to get a job. We don't have to go out there and always fight. They were like, yo, the votes start going. And then I won. Felipe from jail, I was reaching him. Get it?
Yeah.
I was working from jail to reach him. And he finally said, maybe you're making sense, motherfucker. And I said, well, it's too late for you. You're going to face the music now. And this is my promise to you. If you apologize to our people, we will be behind you to the end, because every man should have the opportunity to repent. And in his worstest mistake, that's not who he is. You could show the world who you really want to be. And he said, it was like weird, right? Like, sorry? You don't tell your leader to say sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the fuck you mean sorry? Who I'm sorry for? So, and we love you. And that's big. And so while he was suffering through that, as you see, I gave him strong support. I always showed him, I'm the face of it, but you're still the leader. I don't want that power. What I want is a conversion of you to see what we could be like if we're not oppressed by our own. And he bought into it, right? He bought in enough to let me lead, to give me official while he was going through that. And other men with him, good, other kings with him say, yo, we already fell. We lost this. We got this ugly case. Let's try crazy ass Tone's way. You know what I mean? So they gave the yay. Even those that used to not think like me say, yo, give him the yay. And they voted me in with him. And then he gave me the letter, right? Yo, dude, this is yours. And I'm, no, I don't want that, Because if you become the head, a lot of movements like King, Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, when the movement got one face, you cut off the head, the body falls. As Luis Felipe. But if the people are the head, and there's a lot of King Tones in the crowd, there's always someone to stand up if you have to go. There's another voice that says, no, the tradition doesn't stop with him. This is not just him. This is a culture now. This is a movement, right? So Felipe, sadly, he got sentenced on that case to that 175 years. He's been there since 95, but he was in jail before that 15 years. We're talking about almost 50 years in jail. And to this day, he still hasn't got a visit. He hasn't got a phone call. And he hasn't had a lawyer to represent him, to try to just not get him home, but to get him in a population. So if you ask me, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll say sorry for him. And I know if you were 50 years by yourself, you look in the mirror and start saying, damn, was it worth this? But I know before he left, he's seen his nation 3,000 deep, marching with the mothers against police brutality, going into school, going into shelters and chasing out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was like, fuck it, I could go now. You get it? Like, I see.
Okay.
And that's how I wanted him to go.
That's how you wanted his last memory of freedom to be.
To be, if you can't be free, we'll be free for you.
That's amazing. Wow.